All right, we're back with Philadelphia to Washington track laying. We are a little more than 10 miles into the route now. Had some pretty difficult track at the very beginning. We're into a little bit more simpler stuff now, more routine tracks going forward. For I think at least the next 10 miles. Once we get past Gunpow, that is, we're going to be tackling that first. Once we get past Gunpow, then things are pretty normal for a little while, which is going to be nice. So I see some people in the chat right now. Frosty, hey, what's up? Southeastern Mass Rail Fanner, yo, nice seeing you again. You've made every stream so far. Happy birthday, Frosty. Well, belated birthday. Hey, Livy. Nice of you guys to join us. Alright, so if you watched last week's stream, you'll notice that I have a little bit more track here than I had at the end of that stream. That's because, so what's the stream going to be about, Livy? You'll find out. It's just track laying for a project that me and some friends are doing. So, Evan, the leader of the project, in the middle of this week, wanted to take a stab at this whole curve and do the weird curvature at Gunpow up here, the one that's been giving him a lot of troubles because of this. Where's the split? There we go. See that split in the map here? I'll increase the opacity or decrease it. Because of that split, he was getting very, very confused and didn't really know where the tracks exactly were supposed to go, and he was running into problems. So I helped him out with that curve, and we're up to the point where the curves start doing really, really weird stuff. So I'm hoping to tackle that soon, and then continue on. And all that track going forward is pretty normal. Oh, okay. Yeah, Evan, you got curve values for me. Nice. So we've been discovering, as we've been doing this, that the track charts, you can see here, these are just guidelines more than precise curvature values we've found. For instance, this curve right here, I'll draw this out, that is shown here, isn't as constant a radius as it shows here. It actually does a couple little deviations, and it's really, really obvious once you get into laying the curve that it does make some changes. And if you look very, very closely at the cab ride footage, especially... Oh, that's the other thing. I brought in the southbound view this time as well, so I can bounce back and forth between the northbound and the southbound videos to get some more reference. Alright. Just looking at the chat real quick. Yeah, Olivia, I'm doing building stuff. Yeah, so I got this southbound view up as well, and when I looked very, very closely at this curve, it was pretty damn close to the values in the charts, but wasn't quite there. So we had to make a couple little deviations, and I think we got it right. So anyway, we finished that curve for tracks 2, 1, and Alpha. We still have to lay track 3. Track 3 does a little bit of weird stuff. If you remember last time, here, let me go back to the beginning of the curve. You'll see it does some weird behavior and then rejoins nicely. So we're going to have to account for that. See how it's doing its own thing? Alright. So that's what we're going to tackle first, and then we'll do Gunpow. The first thing we have to do is figure out exactly where track 3 starts to continue with the rest of the tracks at a constant radius. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to count cat poles from the bridge. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6-ish. Let me see. like 6 or 7 cat poles. Hey Pixelade, nice of you to join us. It's about 6 or 7 cat poles where it starts to rejoin, which is actually pretty fortunate. Because that means all of this other track up to where we ended, we can just use the offset tool and get that laid real quick. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the select tool on track 2. Hey guys, just so you know, I upped the music volume a little bit compared to last week. And let me know if my voice like gets drowned out by it, okay? Just testing out a little bit louder sound. So using the offset tool, and once we almost get out of the curve, I'm going to start counting cat poles. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the whole curve and then just snip off the piece where I need it. We're going to just do that. Offset at 4.2 meters. Just lay all this real quick. And turn off the overlay for this. Man, it is cold in the Northeast right now. I don't know how many of you guys are in the Northeast, but I'm up in Rhode Island. Past 2 days in the morning, it's been 8 degrees and like 30-mile-an-hour winds and cold. And it's, I mean, I got the heat turned up to 68 in my house, and for some reason, it still can't really shake the cold. I got a nice hot cup of tea waiting for me right in front of me. So I'm looking forward to that. All right. So let's weld these bad boys together. And we'll do a save. See, the only thing with the track laying you guys haven't seen on stream so far is making this curve for tracks 2, 1, and alpha. Hopefully that's not a problem. Now let's do a save. Yeah, they were saying the wind chills were like -25 or something. And then I was talking to Livy earlier and she says, oh, it's 60 degrees in Florida. That's kind of cold. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You're so spoiled. And then she says she likes the cold. So, what is it? All right, so let's go to the bridge and let's count between 6 or 7 cat poles. Wait, where's the bridge? There it is. Let's count 6 or 7 cat poles from the bridge. So we got 1, 2. Wait a minute. One sec. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So like right about here, I'm just gonna throw an object down just to mark that approximate area. Oops, change this to 1. Just going to continue laying constant radius all the way up to that point. Now we need to look at the track charts. Not this page, the previous page. Okay. So, we're at right about this point. I'm trying to think how I want to tackle this. It starts curving. I mean, you got a little tangent there. We saw that in the video. It does do a brief straightening out, like directly under the bridge. Right there. It's very, very short, but it is there. So I want the curve to end under the bridge, but I need to increase the curvature slightly. so from this point, we're gonna try different curvature values. It's saying in the documents 0.34. I mean, we can start with that. 5136. Okay, let's start with that. Let's see where it gets us. But wait a minute. Alright, no, that's fine. That is sharper. 5136. Oh yeah, that kind of does work. It's almost like I'm starting curving it a little bit too early. So we're gonna lay a little bit more of this. We did almost 100 meters. Let's go 125 before we start curving. 125, 5136. Gotta really zoom in there to get that precise number, because it's bouncing around a lot. Best I can get is 5162. I mean, that's close enough. Oh, that's looking better. A little bit better. But it starts curving before that. Let me look at the video. Yeah, I mean, the next spiral starts like at this first cat pole. I mean, that is really close. Alright, let's go a little bit more. Let's do 150. Once we get this right, we're golden. And then we get into a whole other mess with gunpow. Those curves are a mess, and I understand why Evan is having a hard time with them. They're a bitch. Damn. Little bit more. Can't get these precise numbers, it's just bouncing around too much. 51... oh, there we go. 5136 is what I'm looking for. Nice. Alright, that's better. I'm okay with this. Alright, so now we have to just get this part right. 288. Let's try that. Just comparing how the other tracks are laid compared to the imagery. It's going to be off, so ignore that. Basically, the left track on the screen is going to overlap the right track a little bit. So I got to curve that a little bit more. 288's not enough. This music's nice. I'm glad I found this free playlist from Stream Beats. Really easy to download if anybody's interested in music for their streams. They are not a sponsor or anything, I just really appreciate that they were able to provide this to me. See how this looks. Yeah, it looks alright. Okay. So now we should be able to spiral this at what the track docs say. 5136. Actually, that doesn't look right to me. It doesn't look like it's separating out enough. Let me go a little bit further with this. Okay. That's more in line with what I'm going for. And we'll start with a 30-meter tangent after that. Let's do a save. Look at the chat. All right. Oh, a lot of conversation. Evan saying, yeah, Gunpowder, it was literally so messy that I just wrote C charts in place of the track values. Yeah, it is messy. We'll figure it out, though. All right. See how this looks before we get into the next curve. That I'm more happy with. Track spacing looks good, like uniform after that. I'm separating out a little bit, but that's fine. Good. So let's try getting this next curve right, and then we can do our little merging technique. So 5136 is what we're going for. If we can make that work, wonderful. If not, we'll have to figure something out. Like we always have. It's curving too much. Which means the tangent wasn't long enough. Let's do 50. Where's the curve starting? It doesn't help that my welds are in the wrong spot. That's okay, I can fix that right now. Before I go any further, let me fix these welds. That way I can more clearly see where the curve is on my other tracks. This should merge nicely once I turn on the right tool. Oh, why did those welds still stay there? I want those welds to go away. The whole point is to eliminate the welds. Go away. Ugh. No. Don't stay. Go away. Oh, fine. Alright, whatever. They're being stubborn. I'll deal with it later. Or we can just leave them there. It's not a big deal. I think there's some elevation changes that take place there anyway. Alright, so... if I look at the track docs, the curve starts... Here, I'll zoom in a little bit. The curve that we're working on starts a little bit later than the other two curves. Well, it actually almost lines up with where the curve for track 1 starts. But we're not going to get too hung up on that. Oh, one thing I want to do before I finish laying this curve is get this tangent extended to right about here. Because we're going to start doing our little merger process. I'll turn off the overlay for this. 281.8. I'm actually going to break out my phone and start writing down these values, because this could be a lot of trial and error. It's only for these merger type things that I'll use my phone. 281.8. Alright. And let's see where this gets us. I want it to be mostly straight. Alright, so it's curving way off to the left, which means 281.8 is not enough. So let's go a bit more. Let's just go 300 even. Let's see if that does the trick. 300.0. That's probably going to be too much, but we'll see. Come on, there we go. Yeah, too much. Going off to the right now. So it's between 281 and 300. More towards like 293, I'm gonna guess. Let's give that a shot. Let's give 293 a try. Let's see how nice that stays. Woohoo! That's really, really nice. So it starts veering off to the right. But now it's going too far. I want it to kind of match up more toward the beginning here, not way back there. So, what we need to do... trying to think. Let me see how this behaved. It started off to the right too much, which means the curve leading up to it is too long. Which means I need to make this tangent a little bit longer. It's kind of weird. Once you find out that something's not right, lining up properly, you have to tear up a whole bunch of previous track that could have contributed to that problem. So I'm going to just do the same thing. 5136. As close to that as I can. That's good. Now we start the process all over. Let's see how this lines up. I want to get it to line up kind of nicely at the beginning and make it stay straight as long as I can get it. So let's do 300. So can you see how that's lining up really, really close? I mean, it's not perfect. And then it goes off to the right even more. It's already off to the right, and it's continuing right. So we have to cut back a little bit. 300's too much. Let's do 295. Trial and error, guys. Trial and error. And then I gotta check my track spacing. Make sure that looks good. That actually looks freaking perfect. Ooh, that's looking pretty good, but I bet it continues off to the right. Very, very slightly. Actually, it continues off to the left. Wait a minute, let me look at that again. It's just off to the right. And then it continues off to the left. Gotta make it a little bit shorter. Because I don't want it to take that long to merge. So let's do 291. We're not even at the fun bit yet, guys. That's looking better. So now we just got to find where it merges. So we're going to do 28. It's not merging. It's going off too far to the left too quick. Alright, let's bring this tangent up a little bit. There we go. But it's too far off to the right, so we have to lay it up a little bit more. Just gonna remember these numbers. 15.3. Still not enough. 15.8. Ooh. Wait, where's my... Oh no. Still gotta go a little bit more. Let's do 16.3. Still gotta go a little bit more. Just gotta get it to line up perfectly and then we'll be good. Nice. That's looking right. There we go. So now track 3 does its own thing and then comes back together. So we should be good with that now. Still a little weirded out about this set of welds, but it's not that big of a deal. Alright, let's save. Okay. So now we got this curve done. They are all together nicely. And now we get to the real bitch of a task. And that is gunpow. So, I want to show you exactly what's going on in Google Earth. Get a much better view of what the issue is here. So you should be able to see Google Earth just fine. Right here at the signal bridge, you got track 3 right here on the far left at the bottom, right before the signal bridge. Then the map imagery slices off, and now this leftmost track just north of the signal bridge, that's also track 3. So this is track 3 and this is track 3. You can see the dilemma. Basically, the whole map imagery shifted over. No, we can measure it. Something like 11 feet or something. Let me see. 12 feet. 12 and a half feet. It shifted over, and that can cause a lot of problems. So, what I did was I know approximately where the curve... here, I'll show you the curve. Let me just skip up to that point. So right after the signal bridge, I know approximately where that curve starts and where it ends. So like one cat pole after the signal bridge is where it starts, and then one cat pole before this switch is where it ends. So I mapped out where it ends. Let me go back into Google Earth. So I mapped out where it ends, and I created a point there. And then I continued from there, perfectly straight all the way down the Gunpowder River Bridge, all the way to the next curve, because I know it's perfectly straight from there. And that's how I created my tangent line, perfectly straight all the way down, even though the map imagery is all screwed up. So I took this, exported it into TS Tools, and then created the route markers that you see here. It's a very, very faint red line. Too bad you can't increase the thickness, but it is what it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to start just by laying track 3. We're not going to worry about the other tracks for now, because they all kind of do their own thing and do some merging and splitting and all that. It's a bit messy. So first, let's turn back on the overlay. Come on, overlay, turn back on. There we go. It's being a little fickle. So we are at the signal bridge, I think. Yeah, I stopped the track right at the signal bridge. So I have to look at the track charts and find out the curvature at that point. I think Evan said he was going to spit curvature values at me. Look at this mess. Hey, Penn Central. Thanks for joining. Alright, so we're just going to be concerned about track 3 right now. You can, actually, let me just cross this out. You can see where it curves off to the right, and then where it curves back to the left afterward. I'll show you that in the video again. Right after the signal bridge, curves off to the right, and then curves back to the left, and then stays perfectly straight all the way down to the next curve. So that's what we're going to do. It's okay, Evan. I'll just do the quick conversions. That's why the Excel spreadsheet's there. 8 chances. So let's do that. First curve, 0.24 degrees. Now we're into the meat of it. Let's get rid of these. 0.24. 72.76. So I approximated that this started to curve about I think it was 1 cat pole, is what I said, after the signal bridge. Is where the spiral starts. Yeah, 1 cat pole. It's a good starting point. So right about here, and that curvature value is 72.76. Don't get too hung up. Actually, for now I'm just going to remove the overlay. Don't even get hung up on the overlay right now. I'm going to worry about the route markers. 72.76. Okay. Now, I don't know how long it holds that for. I don't think it's very long. The thing is, I don't know how long the tangent is. Yeah, I don't know how long the tangent is. We can guess. So there's a cool feature in these videos. I don't know if you can see. There is a foot marker up here at the very top, below the milepost, and off to the right. You see how right now it says 4640? It updates every 20 feet that the train travels, and you can kind of use that to figure out distances. So like, if I line up the edge of the cat pole with the edge of my screen, and then get the number, so 1400, and then I count, well, I find out where it stops curving, right about here, 1920. So it seems like that whole curve is about 520-ish feet. Now let's see if I got that right, because I just finished this curve. 80, let me just do this math. 80 plus 38 plus 38, 156 meters. Now what is 156 meters in feet? Oops, not 456, 156. 511. Look at that. See, it worked out. So, I approximated 520 feet based on the video. I laid a curve that was 511 feet. That is pretty damn close. So we're going to go with that. I'm not going to get too picky with this area, to be honest. Now we need to figure out the length of the tangent. That's our next piece. So we can use the video for that. Continuing from the exact same spot, we're going to figure out where it starts to curve. And it looks to be just after this cat pole, like right here at 2240 feet, which would be a 300-foot tangent, which is approximately a 100-meter tangent. Let's see if we can make that work. It looks to be almost right, maybe slightly shorter, like something like 90. 90. Let's start with 90. We can always increase it if we have to. So now, we take the second curve, which is 0.33. 5292, so right around 5300. Let's start that. It looks like it's curving too quickly. Is this curve shorter than the last one? It appears to be a little bit shorter. Okay. Based on the charts. Can't get my mouse to do what I want it to do. 55, let's try that. Alright. Too much. Curved too much. Alright, let's look at the video and see where the curve ends, and then I can gauge whether I got the curve right that way. So this curve ends right at this cat pole before the, at the switch between tracks 3 and 2. Okay. Let me mark that out with an object in the game. I'm gonna take a billboard or something. So it looks, yeah, this cat pole right here. Take a single barrel's too small. Here we go. So this cat pole is where the curve ends, and I pretty much got that right. Do not worry about it not lining up with the overlay right now, please. The overlay is so screwed up in this area, so don't freak out. That's why we're going off the route marker. As a better guide, it's not perfect, but it's a better gauge of where we're at. Alright. So 55 was a little bit too long of a main curve here. I'm going to slice this off piece by piece until we can get this curve to go all the way straight down the Gunpowder River Bridge. Alright? Just slicing off little pieces. And you can see how it's still too much. It's veering off to the left. So 53 is too long. You'll just, instead of relaying the track, I'm just going to keep cutting snippets off. Still too much. Cut off a little bit more. Now once we get this right, we can lay the other track offset to it, and then make it do its own little weird curvature stuff, and then just do our merge. Still curving too much. Yeah, this curve really is quite a bit shorter. Look at that. We're almost there. Actually, that looks perfect. Yay! And I think the track continues normally all the way down the bridge. And where does it start curving? I just want to get to that point perfectly. Alright, so it's the spiral starts right here. So what is that? 1.5 cat poles from the end of the bridge. Like right, wait, 1, 2, like right here. Is it? Yeah, no, that's good. I'm gonna want it to curve a little bit more. Almost got it perfect. So 35.8 was a little too short. Let's do 36.1. Oh, if it'll let me. Come on. When you start laying these really short bits, it's hard to get exactly what you want. 36.1, come on, give me the gray line. There we go. Nice. Now this should get right where I want. like right here. Good. So we've got our first curve done. Just want to make sure I have the welds in the right spots. So I'm just going to manually weld everything right now. Get rid of that. Do this next curve. I'm just going to weld it. Perfect. So now, if I turn off this overlay, let me save really quick. Just take a quick drink of my water. Alright, let's take a look at chat. Wow, a lot of conversations going on right now. Oh, you're talking about screen recorders? Yeah, OBS is the best. I use OBS. I can show you guys someday how I set it up. You'll probably notice that when I switch between windows, it automatically does a nice little fade and then switches to that window. Super freaking useful. It's a third-party plugin called Advanced Scene Switcher. Super awesome. Alright, so now you can see we have our curvature for track 3. Curvature starts just after the signal bridge like we saw, goes 500 feet, does almost a 100-meter tangent, and then goes into our other curve. And then goes perfectly straight all the way down to where it curves after Gunpowder. Yeah, I can show you later on, Livy. No worries whatsoever. So now we need to tackle track 2. Track 2 is going to be the next hardest thing. So let's take a look at how track 2 behaves after Gunpowder. You should be able to see this footage. Yep. Good. So now we're at the north limits of Gunpowder interlocking. Track is continuing straight. So we're staying straight. I'm counting cat poles now. Or we can look at switches for reference too. Probably switches are probably easier because there's a lot of catenary action going on here. So it's still straight. It starts to curve immediately after this frog. So our spiral starts right after that frog. Oh, that's it. This is actually really easy. And then it ends right before this point of switch. That's nice. So you basically curve between the switches, essentially. Oh, that's nice. Cool. So let's do that. And it looks like it's the same thing here too. You have a tangent, and then like right at the frog, it'll start to spiral. Cool. Just looking at chat real quick. Alright, bye Livy. Nice of you to join us. Pixelate's asking, hey Brandon, do you know if once you publish a career scenario to the workshop and edit it, can you update the workshop version? I don't know. I've never published a career scenario to the workshop. I've only ever done standard. Career scenarios are different because you're scored on them. Like, it's legit scoring. That adds to like your profile and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I might be able to reach out to Dovetail Games and ask them. Yeah, no problem. I don't have all that much experience with scenarios. My biggest foray into scenario creation was when I did the career scenarios for Washington to Baltimore. Anyway, so this curve actually looks like these two curves look like it's going to be pretty simple, actually, because we know that it's curving between the switch points. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the offset tool all the way to where we know that it starts to curve. So that's a little tough because the shitty overlay. Actually, let's just take it. Ooh, this might be difficult. This might be bad. One sec, I want to fix this before we proceed. Oh, wait, I can't fix it because I'm just planning ahead for the switches. I don't want them going over welds. And the point of switch is right here, and my weld is here. I just might have to... Alright, here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to extend this so the weld is out here instead. Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna manually place the weld out here instead of in the middle of the curve. Just planning for later, planning for later. So we'll do it like out here. Or right here. This will be fine. That'll be fine. So now I don't have to worry about when I make these switches, them clipping over a weld. Let me look at this next one. This one's fine. Fine, yeah, we're good. Alright. So now we'll use the offset tool. This music's nice, it's really happy. Now let's get it up to this point. And we'll offset 4.2 meters. It's going to take it up to this point. Great. So now let's extend the straight bit up to where we know that it starts to curve. Now it's a little bit tough because the map overlay is really screwed up right now. But we're going to do our best. Let's take a look at the footage again, just as a reminder. So you have this other, like, old signal bridge here. You have the crossover from 3 to 2. And then, oh, it's right after the crossover from 2 to alpha. Okay. I can do that. Right after, alright, so it's right after this crossover, 2 to alpha, is where it starts to curve. So right here is going to be our spiral point. Just 2 more curves to lay. I mean, that's approximately where the curve starts. We'll adjust it as necessary. Alright, let's look at the charts. So we already did this curve. We're going to start with this curve right here. 0.22. Oops, I didn't mean to hit that. 0.22. 79.38. Let's turn off the overlay to prevent confusion. It looks really screwy right now. 79.38. So I want to make sure I got the right number. Alright, that's good. Now, I don't know how long it's held for. It looks really short curve. We can guess, like right here, 2,700 feet. To 3,300 feet. Doesn't seem like it would be a 500-meter curve. I mean, we can play around with some values. But I wanna see where that spiral ends. And then I can mark it. So we got 1 cat pole from the switch, 2, like 2.5 cat poles from the switch. I wanna mark that out. just so I have it as a point of reference. 1, 2 and a half, like right here. All right. That's where our curve is going to end, approximately. So we do our main curve, and we want our spiral to end like right there. So our spiral will do 35.8. I don't know, let's just guess. Okay, that looks fine. Problem is, the track isn't going to curve back enough in time. You see how it's going more to the left? We need it to be going more to the right at this point, because we still have to curve back to the left. So, that could mean two things. One, our tangent right here is too long, and we got to cut it back and start curving earlier. Or we have to make our curve longer, so it curves more. I'm going to start by cutting it back. But I don't want to cut it back too far, because we know from the video that it starts curving somewhere after this switch. So the frog is right here. Here, I can actually mark that. The frog, actually, let me use something bigger. Yeah, billboard. Frog is right here. You can even curve that or rotate it. There we go. I know that it's going to be at least there where it starts to curve. Probably a little bit further. So let's chop like half that off. Alright. Now, what's the number I'm looking for? 7935? 7938. Okay. $79, come on, 79, there we go. Now I'll hold the curve up into that billboard, pretty much. That's where I want the spiral out to end. Now let's check this out. Still not curving enough. Unless... Where does this curve end? I want to mark that out too. Let's look at the video. Where does this curve end? Because I know it goes past the signal bridge. Just how far past? So you got signal bridge, and you got 1 3/4 cat poles after the signal bridge. I want to mark that out. So it's hard to see. 1 cat pole, 2, like 1 3/4, like right here. So this is approximately where the curvature is going to end. So actually this might work out. Now let's find out where the curvature starts. For the second curve, that is. I think it's right after the switch point. This where I see the spiral beginning. It's like halfway between the cat pole and the signal bridge. Alright, let's mark that out. This is all approximate right now. We can tweak it later. Halfway between cat pole and signal bridge. This is going to come together nicely in a little bit, guys. Right about there. Now I can turn off the overlay completely. We don't even need it right now, because we have everything marked out. Let's do a quick save. As if there's anything quick about saving this route. Okay. So now that I know that the curvature starts like right about here, I'm just gonna lay my tangent up until that point. And then let's calculate our other curve. 0.38. So this is a bit sharper than the others. And it looks that way in the video too. 0.38. 45.95. So now we know where our curve starts approximately and where it ends approximately. So now let's make this work. keep forgetting the number. 4,600, basically. Alright. We'll tweak these numbers as needed. See, I can already tell it's not curving enough. I mean, it's curving too much. Like, we didn't lay enough straight track. So we can take this further, or we can sharpen this a little bit. Make it curve a little bit more to the right before we make this correction. It looks like we might have to do that. Yeah, we gotta do that. Something's gotta give. So I'm going to curve this a little bit more than 7936. I'm going to do 70. I mean, they could be rounding the numbers on the track charts, so it may not be that exact number. They could have just like rounded up, and it could be slightly sharper, you know? So let's do 70. 7862. Let's go with that. End of the curve in the same spot. So it's going to curve more off to the right now, which is good, which is what we want. Still not enough. The other option is we cut this back a little bit more, because we have up until this billboard. Let's do 7,800 from this point. It's not much sharper, to be honest. Just a slight little correction. 7,800. Once you get into these really high numbers, these little corrections are just like fine-tuning. It's not even removing any realism or anything. Pixelate is asking, just to confirm, this won't replace the Washington to Baltimore route, right? This will just act as its own thing, like a clone of it, but with the extension. Exactly. Yep, it is a completely different route. See, now you can see this is curving more. So now let's try. Let's see what this does when we lay a track with 4,500 or 4,600, whatever that radius was. 4,595. Woohoo! Look at that. Look at where the friggin' curve ends. Right on my sign. So now we just gotta fine tune this. It's curving off to the right? Or is it staying on course? It's like staying right on course. Okay. It's an easy little correction. So what that means is it started curving too early. So let's do 160 meter tangent. $45.95. And then we'll come on out of the curve. Okay. I want this to line up at this point, so we have to keep making adjustments. Let's go a little bit longer with this tangent. Let's do 180 or 170, because I don't want to go too far to where I expect it to start curving. $45.95. I gotta keep remembering that number. It's a very important number. Come, just trying to get that number. $45.95. Woohoo, we're almost there, guys. Look at that. Alright. We're going to take this tangent a little bit further. And I'm I'm gonna snip off a bit of this. We're almost there. Home stretch of this curve anyway. And then we gotta get these other curves in a position to join the others. Which shouldn't be bad, to be honest. We're not gonna make the switches yet, because those are best done after terrain. Because if you already have a switch point generated, and then try to adjust the height of the switch point, there's multiple weld points associated with a switch, and you have to adjust all of them equally, and it's a bit of a pain. Let's do 180 on this. Let's see how this looks. So I suggest doing switches afterward. That was one mistake I made with Washington Baltimore development. I had done all the switches before I adjusted terrain, and it ended up wasting a lot of time. Still got everything done well in time, but... Oh! Look at that. It's so close. So close. I want to see how it behaves after. Let me cut this off. Oops. I have two pieces of track there. Which one did I just cut off? Yeah, alright. Yeah, I want that one to go. Let me just lay this spiral out again. And then we'll see how it behaves. It's curving off to the left slightly. It's starting off to the left a little bit too. Alright, we are almost there. It is so close. We just gotta cut it back a little bit. 180 is just a little too much on what I can see. Alright, 45.95. Gotta remember that number. Spiral out. Let's see how this looks. Oh, actually, I went about it the opposite way. I shouldn't have snipped off. I should have added a little bit. Because now it's curving too early and going off to the left more. I still have trouble with abstract thinking. Sorry. Alright, so instead of 178, let's go with like 182. Or 181. It's that small of an adjustment in the tangent. Yeah, my abstract thinking skills are not that good. Probably is part of the reason why I had such a hard time with calculus in college. If anybody can do calculus, bless you. I can't do it. Okay. Let's give that a try. Let's see where this ends up. Oh my god. That is a peach. It is just slightly off to the left, which means I'm going to just make it merge a little bit earlier. Let's try here. Take a look at that. Still a little bit to the left. Just bring this up a little bit so I got more room. Now it's a little off to the right. Just gonna get that perfect value. There we go. That's our merge. Alright, let's add our welds after the curves. and then we'll take a look at it from a bird's eye view. And I also want to make sure that none of the welds are going to go over a switch, which ignore the offset here. That's like 12 feet off. Yep, we're looking good. Nice. So let's save this, and then we'll take a look at it from above. Well, there is math that has meaning. Like, I taught myself some civil engineering stuff when I started doing a lot of track study for route development. So the reason why I know so much about track curvature and super elevation and all that kind of stuff is... oh shit, did I accidentally add a weld there when I shouldn't have? Or was a weld generated there? Here, I'll just fix this. Yeah, the reason I know so much about this stuff is because I taught myself because I was interested. There we go. I don't want to weld there. I want to weld there. There we go. That'll be fine. Cool. Now let's take a look from above and zoom in. So the tracks start to curve. Actually, let me find the signal bridge as reference. Yeah. So there's our signal bridge. Track 2 starts to curve back here, which is accurate. Curves, and then like right after the signal bridge, or right about the signal bridge, it straightens. Ooh, it's a train going by. Sounds like an Acela. And then it goes down a little bit. You can see the natural separation here, which is accurate. And then it curves back. This one curves back, and they come back together to go parallel across gunpow. Alright, so let's look at it in the video now from both angles, just to double check our work. Alright, so you can, actually let me just zoom back a little bit. Watch how much sooner track 2 separates off from track 3. Like right here is where it starts to curve, way sooner. And then you get that separation between the two, which is what we're seeing right here. See? That separation is exactly what we're seeing in the video. Alright. Got our curve, tangent, curve. Now they are parallel again, all the way across gunpow. Let's watch the opposite. Track 3 is already curving, this one's staying straight. Now this one does a short little curve between the switches, tangent, curve after the switch, and now we're perfectly parallel again. Alright, the hard part of gunpow interlocking is done. Now we need to get these other two tracks to a point where they can come back together. Alright. Let's look at track 1 first. Let's see where track 1 splits off of track 2. And that the point of switch is right here. So let me mark that. I'm just gonna mark it with a barrel and keep that barrel there. I'm gonna make it a larger than normal barrel though. Make it like 4 times size. There you go, Evan. Now you know where the point of switch is. Alright. Now we need to find the point where it starts to curve into that switch. So where does this normalize? It appears to normalize like right at the signal bridge. And by normalize, I mean continue perfectly straight again, parallel with the rest of the tracks that are heading south. So let's take a look on the video. So we're going to pay attention to how track 1 is curving. Actually, there's something I noticed. And I don't know if... Oh, we can replicate that. I don't know if it's referenced on the track docs, though. I might have to zoom in for you to see this. But here, I'll use my mouse pointer to kind of show you. So it switches off right here, and then curves back off to the right, as you'd expect. But then it makes a correction and curves back left, slightly, right at this point. I don't know if you guys can see that, where my mouse pointer is. It makes a correction. It's not like perfectly straight all the way until it does follow the contour of track 2 as it initially curves in order to maintain that track separation. So we are going to replicate that. Let's find out where that little deviation ends. It appears to end 1 cat pole before the signal bridge. Okay. Is it referenced on the charts? It is. Right here. Very, very slight correction right there. Now, it seems to start where the curvature, oh my god, I just grew an accent. Wow. The curvature of track 2 almost like ends, see? It starts really late. So it's not going to start exactly when track 2 starts to curve, which is back here, by the way. This is where track 2 starts to curve. It's not going to start here. It's going to start like, and I think I said 1 cat pole back from, might even be a little bit more than that. Like right here, like right after the spiral for track 2. I'm going to snip this off right here. Let's try this out. 0.31. 5633. And I might have to bring this a little bit more forward, but let's give this a shot. 5633. I might have to use a more aggressive... I'm going to have to use a more aggressive preset than mainline. I can't get the spiral to go fast enough. What's the speed on this track anyway? Oh look, a lo-fi Christmas song. Okay. Speed limit. 110? Oh, they're not going to be going 110 at this point, though. Alright, so here's why I know they're going to be going really slow. Because the only way to continue forward here is to switch. There's no option to continue straight. You're switching on to track 2, which means you're going to be going limited speed. This is a 60 mile an hour, no, 45 mile an hour crossover. From what I can see, it looks like a 45 mile an hour crossover. So you're going to be going limited speed. So I can get pretty aggressive with this. After this curve is where it picks up to 110 going that way. Alright. I say 5633. And this curve's quick. $56.33. There we go. Now, from the charts, it seems like this curve ends like right when track 2's curve ends. That was my attempt at a straight line. Um, yeah, so I want it to end like right about here. Let's give that a try and see how that looks. Track separation's a problem already. So what that means is I'm going to start this curve earlier. I'm gonna chop off a little bit more. Use the freight preset again to get that spiraling quickly. Make this curve a little bit more. That looks a lot nicer. They still come together quite a bit, and I think the video will show that. They still get a little close right here. Actually, not that much, though. But you can't really gauge it that way. Let's look at the separation here and compare it to that. I'm gonna lop off a little bit more. I don't like how close it's getting. Freight preset. Let's look at the chat. As long as the track is operatable, I don't see the biggie. I don't know what that's in reference to. Back when I started track building, I forgot to turn off the weld tab, which led to not so straight track. Yeah. So right here in the bottom left, this little magnet icon, the snap to track thing, if you have that turned off, you can't lay straight track. You can connect straight pieces together if you're trying to merge two pieces of track, but you need to have that option off if you want the yellow part, which means straight track, to show up. Good chat again. Yeah, pixelated, nice Christmas tree. Yeah, Christmas songs. That was the best Jingle Bells you heard. Let me see if I can get you the song name later on. If you want it, let me know. But as I said, all these songs can be downloaded for free from Stream Beats. Alright, let's give this another try. 5633. I just appreciate that there's good music out there that's copyright free that won't demonetize my videos. I don't monetize my streams because I want you guys to enjoy it without ads, but after the streams are done, I do monetize the recordings. Alright, that track separation looks better. That looks nicer. Cool, let's go with that. Now, I need to mark... Here, let me do a save. I need to mark where it starts curving back toward the switch. And it seems like it starts to curve like right at the signal bridge. So there's not much of a tangent. Just a little tangent like right here. Okay. I'm going to leave that there. And when we finish the terrain, finish the track laying, and then put in the terrain and we start elevating the track, then we will make this curve and then connect back to where that barrel is, and we'll have our switch. Alright, so now that track 1 is done for now, I'm just going to leave that there. Let's take care of track A. Now there's no geometry data for track A. Alright, I don't know why, there just isn't. So, we're going to make it like a mirror clone of track 1. Oh, first, let me get my weld done. I think right here. Yep. Perfect. I'm just going to follow this pretty much exactly. So I'm just going to lay straight track up to that point and do the same values. I'm not going to use the offset tool. I'm just going to do it approximately. What was my value? 5642. Ooh, it's going to be a tough one to get. Especially with the freight preset. $56.42. Got it. Oops. I did that too long. We can always fix this later. Once we do the merging, I'm sure we'll make a couple adjustments to this. And by the merging, I mean like the switches. Oh, wait a minute. This track actually continues further down and then connects down here. That's right. It also connects to track 2, just way later down. Alright, so I'm going to actually copy this object. This big-ass barrel. And let's go down here and just mark the point of switch. Right here. Now that... I don't know, is that also a 45-mile-an-hour crossover? Looks like it. Where's my point of switch? Right here. That's my point of switch. And the curvature stops where? Ooh, it's hard to tell. Is track 2 curving at this point? It is. I'm just trying to see how it behaves in comparison to track 2, and it looks like it does its own thing. It's really difficult to tell. Let's look at the video. Let's see if the video has anything to reveal. So the video is showing straight track after the switch. And then it does curve back. It does make a correction. It almost looks like it separates from track 1 earlier than track 1 does its little correction. It's hard. It's really hard to tell. I can't even tell from this angle. I might be able to tell if I look at the far right of the screen. It is... That's tough. I'm not gonna get too crazy. It's so tough to tell. I do know that this is perfectly straight, though. So let's just go with that. Alright, let's just go with that. I'm not gonna go too crazy. So we did our correction out. We know that's gonna curve back in. How long is this main curve? 70.9 meters. Okay. I don't know. That doesn't look right to me. Ignore the Google Maps overlay. None of the tracks are going to line up. What I do want to make sure happens is at this cat pole, which I will mark. Do want to make sure that at this cat pole we have a track separation of and I'm going to measure between the tracks right now with the ruler. Try to get as accurate a reading as possible. 5.77 meters. So what I'm going to do is use the offset tool right here just to create a dummy piece of track 5.77 meters away, and I'm going to try to make this line up, which isn't going to work unless I curve it back. Does it curve back? It's so hard to tell. Oh, it might be perfectly straight, but it might be like going at an angle like this. So we are going to have to correct this. I just don't know by how much. Let's just try 0.31 again. Which was what? What was that value? 5633. There's no documentation for this, so I'm just going to have to wing it. And do what makes sense. Just do a little tangent, and then let's just figure this out. Actually, here's what Google Earth is useful for. Yeah, this imagery is screwed up right here. Yeah, we have a slice this period of time, but you can actually go back in time. So let's go to like 2014. I have a lot of luck with that imagery. Look at that. That's better, but we still have all this shadowing. Can we find a different time of year? Ooh, that's really bumpy. Oh, let me turn off terrain. I mean, it still looks like shit, but... Ooh, this one should give us a good idea of how track alpha behaves. It's so tough to tell. It does look like it makes a correction right here. It looks like it curves off to the left and then back to the right. Very difficult to tell. Very difficult to tell. I mean, I do know that at a minimum I have to keep it separated from track 1. We have to maintain that separation. I'm just trying different values now, see what kind of results I can get. As long as I can have that 5.77 meter separation at this point, I really don't care how it looks. There's just no way to do this. Just gonna fudge it. But it's gonna be an educated fudge. It's not going to be like half-assed. And it starts to curve back here. Let me do another measure. So at this point, it better be closer than 5.77 meters. 5.35. I'm gonna just do another offset just to see where that track would end up. Not 3.35, 5.35. That's lining up pretty good. May have curved this a little bit too much, but pretty good. Let's do a 4,000 radius instead of 3,700, and let's call that a day. Should go right through there. Good. 5.77. And then gets down to 5.35 right there. Yeah. I think I did a pretty good job. Nice. Now, did I put that barrel there? I thought I did. Oh, I did. It just disappears at a distance. It's a scenery level set to 9, 10. Now I can see it from a little further away. Alright. Now where does it start to curve? That's what the billboard is for, where it starts to curve. Ooh, so regional going by my house. It sounds like. Okay. So let's lay this to right here, and then we'll pick up this track once we finish the rest of the track and start doing the adjustments. Alright, bye Evan. Nice of you to join us. I'll send the progress to you afterward. Alright, so these are our points of switch. And we're leaving tracks 1 and tracks alpha at those points because that's where the switch point starts to do its thing, and we're not going to create the switch points right now. Pretty long switch for track A. Alright, let's save. We are done with gunpowder interlocking for now. So I'm going to take a quick break to use the restroom and grab myself a little bit better of a drink. I mean, water and tea are great, but gin is a little bit better, I think. Be right back. Alright, I'm back. Got a nice glass of gin here with one ice cube. Sweet. Tastes good. First time trying this brand. Alright. So now... before we continue, just want to do my welds real quick. Where's that curve end? Right here. Great. Perfect. Alright. So now let's go all the way down here to the end of the Gunpowder River Bridge. And now we're into our next curve. So, these next curves, I've already checked, because I didn't want to be caught with any stupid surprises. I think we're good for 10-ish miles. It should carry us through this stream. They're pretty regular curves, from what I can tell. Here, we'll take a look at some of the footage. I think there is a rather long straightaway after one of these curves up here, but there's no, from what I can tell, nonsense going on with track separating and all these compound curves with radius changes in the middle. I looked through all of these ones that are coming up, and they look like standard railroad curves. So this is the curve we're going to be laying now. Getting ready to pass your house soon? Yeah, there's two separate curves coming up. What milepost are you next to? Pixelate. Alright, so since we're laying from the perspective of track 3, we're going to use track 3's curvature value of 1.14 degrees. Is there a way to remove gradient markers? Yes, except if it's on a weld. You can't, from as far as I know, delete a gradient marker from a weld. So if I go to left click on this gradient marker and press delete, it's not doing anything. But if I create my own gradient marker, or one gets auto-generated that's not on a weld, you can just left-click it and delete it with the delete button on your keyboard. Alright. Let's turn our overlay back on, and I believe we determined that the spiral starts right about here. Let's get our curve value, 1532. And we'll find out pretty soon whether we got it right or not. $1,532. It's a pretty long spiral. Alright, so I can already tell it's curving too much. Curving too quickly. So we have to increase our tangent. I'm going to start with an increase of 30. That might be too steep, but it might be what we need. 1532. Alright, so yeah, that was too much. 30 was too much. Let's go with, I don't know, let's be a little conservative and start with 15. And that's a little bit too much. I mean, a little too little, I apologize. 15 is too little, so it's between 15 and 30. Let's do somewhere in the middle and do 22. Getting the point where the curve starts is crucial to getting an accurate curve. It's looking a lot better. That seems to be too much. So between 15 and 22. Let's try 18.5. We'll figure this out. Might have to adjust the curvature value a little bit too, because like I said, there could be some rounding being done in the track documents, so 1532 might not be exact. It could be like a range of numbers. See how this behaves. Oh, that looks pretty good. Not coming out of the curve, it doesn't look good. Okay. So I can do two things. I can either start it a little bit earlier, instead of 18.5, try like 17.5, or I can make it a little bit of a sharper curve. I'm going to start with the easiest one, which is just adjusting the tangent. Let's find out exactly where this curve ends, because that looks like a abnormally long spiral. I wonder if I'll have to use the passenger preset for this curve. I don't know though. Let's take a look. So we can count cat poles. So we got signal bridge, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 and a half cat poles from the signal bridge. Let's mark that. Let's mark that spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and a half approximately, like right here is where I'm expecting the curve to end. So let's see if what track we were laying, if the spiral will end here. Looks like a really long spiral. No, the spiral is going to continue on forever. Alright. Which likely means I have to increase the curvature of the track. Let's think. Let's go with a tangent of 20, but now increase the sharpness of this curve slightly. Instead of 1532, let's go with... because it could be a range of values, like I said. Let's go with 1480. And that's proven to be far too much. Let's just go down to 1500. This is an interesting sounding song. It's weird, but this works out, kinda. It's hard to tell. Because I'm laying such a short section here. Here, let me just cut off part of this curve. It looks like it might work out, though. Even though it does look slightly off here, it actually might be correct. Because the Google Maps overlay is proving to be a bitch, too. Oh wow, that actually looks really nice. Huh. Let's give that a try. Might have to curve it a little bit more, but it's ending in the right spot. See how it looks. The only part is where it's off is like right here. But that's not even like off. That's almost like spot on. Where is it? It's mostly off. Right here is where it's mostly showing off. Which doesn't make any sense. And I don't even care about that because it ends up perfect in the end. So I'm just chalking that up to bad Google Maps. Okay, let's go with this. So what we're gonna do, just make sure our welds are good coming into the curve. Just gonna start right here. Oops, yeah, it's split. Oops, split in the wrong spot. Now we got the start of our curve. Now we just gotta figure out where our curve ends. Just keep experimenting with values. Start with 229.2. Just gonna make a mental note of that number. Not enough. It's not curving enough. I'll do 233. That looks almost perfect. I'm gonna go with 234 though. I'm comparing it to the red line, kinda, as I come on out of the curve. It's not like exactly my center line, but it's damn close. Alright, that should be good. Oops. And that'll take us into our next curve. Perfect. And we have our weld there. Nice. So let's save. Take a sip of my drink. Cool. So let's look at this next curve. We know that... Actually, let's find out where this curve ends. It was actually the 11th milepost, the 11th cap pole after the signal bridge. So I had originally estimated it would end where? Here, and it's actually ending at the 11th cap pole. So from that cap pole, here, let's just count quick to get our bearings, just so we know where we are, because I'm trying to gauge where the next curve starts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is where we ended the spiral in the route just now. Now we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 cap poles from our last spiral is where we're going to be starting this next curve. So let's do that. We might have to tweak this. This is just rough guess. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. Now, let's get this next curve value. Ooh, they curve at different values. But I'm not going to worry myself too much about that. That's just going to cause more pain if I try to mimic that. We're just going to lay these as if they don't do any weird splitty action. 0.21. Because it's not going to create any perceivable difference to the player. 8316. Oh yeah, that looks good. Alright, it's following it nicely. Let's see where it ends. So now from that point, we've got 1, oops, skipped 1, 2, 3, a little bit more than 3. Cat pulls down is where this spiral ends. So 1, 2, 3. Is it really that short of a main curve? One, 2, 3. Okay. Let's try that. Let's just start with that value for now. Let's go with 170. Let's start with 180. I'm gonna put this down in my phone because we have a rather large straightaway. I don't know how many miles it is, but I mean it's kind of long. 180. Let's see where this gets us. Oh, it's not enough. You can already see it's going off to the left of that red line. So I gotta make it curve longer. 180. Let's go with 190. Nope. It's still veering off to the left up there. I know it might be difficult for you guys to see, but trust me that it is veering off to the left up there. Which means it's not curving enough to the right. So instead of 190, let's try, I don't know, let's go a little bit drastic. 210. Let's go with 210. Now that's veering off to the right a little too much. It could be like a little error though. Let's see if it continues that trend. Yeah, it's continuing that trend. 210 is too much. 190 is too little. Let's meet in the middle. Let's do, I don't know, 202. Coming up on 2 hours on the stream. Doing pretty good. This is 202. It's holding true so far. Oh yeah. Nice. Nice and steady. Veering off to the left slightly. Okay. And then we get into our next curve. Alright. So 202. One sec, I'll let you know in a minute if it's too much or too little. Too little, I think. It's gotta be something more like 204. Just gotta delete all these things because I do not trust the undo tool. If you've seen my previous streams, you know that the undo tool is evil a lot of the time. Too little. So let's do 204. The undo tool will do changes you never even made previously. It's ridiculous. Alright, so it's doing 204. It's looking great so far. Looking wonderful, actually. Slightly off at this point, but not by much. I'm just going to make a slight correction to 205, and we'll be good with this. And then I'll make sure my welds are good. Pixelade, you said you learned your lesson about the undo tool. Yeah, I told you, man, it's evil. So the main curve is going to be 205 meters long. And then we'll fix the weld. Make sure the weld is good, and then we'll continue laying our track. Where's our curve start? Right here. Great. Going to save. Awesome. These long straightaways make things nice and easy. I mean, not easy to get them to line up, but once you do, it's just miles of just straight track. Nothing easier than that. Where does the next curve start? Oops. I'm just gonna skip ahead in this video. Oh, we have some offset tool action to do up here. What is this, over by Edgewood or something? I'm not too familiar with this area. Is this wood interlocking? Yeah, it's wood. I just want to get the latitude, longitude of where it starts to curve again. I'll plug that into the game and I'll know right about where to stop with this straightaway. So 39,424. 424, 323, negative 76, 272, 859. Right here. Oh, the straight track continues all the way down here. Okay. Hopefully I don't have to make another correction, but... Oh wow, I didn't know that it continued this far. Hopefully, what I did down there was good. We'll find out soon enough. I think it'll be okay. Oh yeah. Nice. Look at that. Right down the frickin' center of that red line. Perfect. Love it. Let's save. Yeah, it does turn into 4 tracks for a mile or so, I think, near the mark station. Yep. So we're gonna do that right now. We're not gonna do the switches for it, but we'll just use the offset tool really quick to make these other tracks. I'm assuming the track spacing is still 4.2 meters. Let's turn on the maps overlay. Increase this, make it more visible. What is that branch? What is this? That, oh wait, no, that's not a branch. It's a stub track. Okay. Or a siding. Am I right with that terminology? Is that a stub or a siding? Maybe it's a siding. Okay, so it just literally follows straight. For a while. So right at this interlocking. Oh, okay. Great. I'm just going to use the offset tool on track 3. And just go until where it starts curving. Is right about here. Offset by 4.2 meters. I'm just going to choose the concrete model for now. We'll get into changing everything that needs to be wood to wood later on. That's what I did for Washington to Baltimore. Changed all that stuff after the fact. Okay. Now we'll do the same thing for track alpha. Oh no, track 1. This will be track 1 in this case. Not alpha. I think it'll be track 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Right about here. And then we'll fix all the welds. Finish laying that little piece of track 4. We're going to leave these right here for now. We'll rejoin them to the main line. Ooh, wait a minute. This might be an issue. Yep, that's going to be a problem. I don't know if you guys can see the issue. It's the welds are going to overlap with the switches. But let's fix that right now. I'm hoping I can fix it anyway. Let's just do our welds. Actually, we can tactically pick our welds. Let's not get into that right now. We'll get to that later. Just do this. See if I can get these to connect nicely. With no weld where the switches are going to be. There we go. I'll have my weld there instead. That's fine. Just as long as there's no weld on the switches. This is just something you should think about as you're laying your track. Is there a weld where there will be a switch in the future? Spur track. Alright, that's the word I'm thinking of. Not stub, not siding, it's a spur. It's all these railroad terms that I don't know yet. Thank you for correcting me, Phil. Doing these welds. We'll lay that spur really quick. It's probably going to be a yard preset. And I'm just guessing on the curvature of this. I'm not even gonna care all that much. It does not matter. Doesn't curve that quickly, though. I mean, I will put effort into it. You know, I'm not going to just bullshit it. But I don't have any values or nothing. So I gotta just guess. That looks good. And it's a spiral, too. So, it'll be a nice smooth ride, at least. Cool. Let's look for any weird welds here at the interlocking that I might have to fix. Don't appear to be any. We're weld free. Till this point down here, which I think is already past the signal bridge, so we're out of the interlocking at that point. Great. Awesome. No welds that are going to bite us in the ass later on. This track will get rejoined later on once we do the terrain and elevation changes for the track. Gonna do a save. Wonderful. So what milepost are we at now? We got this little curve up here. Let's look at the charts. Come quite far. Next curve. Ooh, this is a very tiny correction. One sec. I just gotta clean my glasses. So there's a signal bridge at milepost 73.68. Is that where I am in the video? 73 point... Yeah, right about there. So there's that signal bridge that's being talked about right here. The signal bridge without signals, but it's still referenced in the track charts as signal bridge. This is what we're dealing with. Phil's telling me that that little spur that I just laid used to be the leg of a Y for the adjacent branch at the underpass. Oh, okay, so they just cut... they removed the Y and just left that little piece of it. Okay. Cool, good to know. Alright, how am I going to tackle this? This is a very slight curve, but it does matter big time in the grand scheme. Because after this curve, it's going to go straight all the way to Bush interlocking, which is right here, the interlocking limits for Bush. I gotta find out where this... Oh my god, my voice cracked. I have to find out where this curve starts. Maybe I should drink some water. Okay. Let's find out where the curve starts. And I think I got a good approximation. But because it's such a slight curve, it's going to be hard to detect exactly where the spiral begins. This is 1, 2... Alright, so let's start this 3 cat poles south of the signal bridge. And see where that gets us. Oh, let's also convert 0.05. Wow. It's a big number, boys. 35,000. That... It's not much of a curve, but it's a curve nonetheless. 3 cat poles south of the signal bridge. Let's mark it. Signal bridge, 1, 2, 3. Track it back out. Let's extend it to that point. And then we'll do 35,000. Big number, and I'm curving to the left, I believe. Yes, I am. Wow. Holy dog shit. That is a short spiral. Even on the mainline setting. 34,900. You can see that curve, though. Alright. Where does the curve end? One cat pole north of the signal bridge, approximately. Alright. So right here is where I want my spiral to end, approximately. This is gonna be some trial and error, so I'm gonna record these values in my phone. 334.1. Alright. Now I think this will continue straight all the way until Bush. Right? Bush. Is the name of the interlocking? Yeah, Bush. And there are curves at Bush. I want to see what that looks like before we continue. I want to see what those curves look like. Yeah, the infamous billboard. Yeah, just any object really, just to temporarily mark out a location is super useful. Something large that's not going to disappear at a distance, and yeah. I just want to see what these curves at Bush do. I think I know what they do, but I want a refresher. And so you guys can see too. Ah, alright, I'm already seeing what it's doing. Okay. So these tracks are going to be behaving differently. Alright. Here's our next curveball. Bush interlocking. I think I was right when I said approximately 10 miles. We were gonna be good with no weird shit. Because Gunpow is at milepost 80, and now we're almost at 70, so I almost kept my promise. Alright, let's finish this spiral and see where these tracks end. 'Cause if we can get all the way across the bridge and still be on point, then I'm happy. Oh, look at that bird's nest up there in the catenary pole. That's a hell of a bird's nest. Look at that shit. Jeez, it's so hard to lay the spiral out. I can't see the one dot $ marker to finish the spiral because it's such a short spiral. Holy shit. I'm gonna have to really zoom in. I can't get it. Oh my god. That's why very slight curves like this, where you have a very small spiral, are terrible. I can't find it. It's supposed to end right here, but it's... Alright, let me think for a sec. That's gonna be problematic. It's gonna be extremely problematic. Crap. It's not snapping. Let me save. Yeah, I gotta add the bird's nest when decorating. I just want to be able to complete this spiral. It's the radius. The number is so high that it's not enough track to like snap. Come on. Are you shitting me? And that's the easiest preset to do it, too. It's going to be impossible to do it with the passenger preset or... Crap. I mean, I know of a potential fix. It's not pretty. It would require editing the track rule to make it so I'd have like an incredibly long spiral. It's not pretty, but that's what... Alright, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to lay the track a little bit differently than it normally would be. Gotta use a slightly tighter curve, a smaller radius number so I get a bigger spiral. But it's not gonna make a huge change. It shouldn't make a huge change. Instead of 35,000 as the value, I'm gonna try 32,000. And see how high the number I can get and still make it snap. I may as well add a billboard for where I want the curve to stop anyway, just because I might be doing this for a little while. Yeah, the infamous billboard. Alright. Well, the curve might not stop there. Now that I'm making such a tight curve, it's going to end sooner. But we can compensate for that. I just want to see if I can get this fucker to snap. That one snaps. That went right to $1. Okay. So I'm good with 32,000. I've never really tested with these really high values. Let's try 34,000 even. If I can get 34,000, I'll be really happy. Nope. 34,000's not snapping. About 33.5. This isn't something I thought I would have an issue with. And it's something I shouldn't have an issue with, but let's do 33.5. The game should be able to handle this, but it doesn't. Alright, I can get $1 on 33.5. Just try for a little bit higher. The higher the number I can get, the better. Try 33.8. And if I can get that, I'm gonna go with it. Frustrating, guys. Very frustrating. Doesn't look like I can get 33.8 to snap. 33.5 worked. Alright, I'm gonna go with 33,500. It's not far off from 34,900, to be honest. It's not gonna be any perceivable difference. I just saw the $1 sign. Got it. Okay. It's gonna be a bitch. I had trouble with 33,600, but I managed to get it. Okay. So let's see if I'm good. Nothing but oranges. Yeah, that's such a stupid sign. So we have to get all the way across the river. If I get this first try, I'm going to jump for joy, but I am not going to get this the first try. It's not off by much, but I was correct in assuming that because we got a tighter curve, it's not going to be as long. So we do have to cut it off a little short. May as well fix this while I'm at it. Just fix my weld. This is the start of the curve, and I am going to stick with this radius, so no reason not to. Okay, let's go with, start with 300. It's 300 even. Hopefully I can get it to snap easily enough. see it. There we go. $1.$. It's so fickle. Even at 4K resolution, that you gotta be like pixel perfect almost, which is super annoying. This is looking good so far. It's right on target. Now it's veering off to the right, but it comes back to get... Oh, that was just the imagery at the bridge. All right. We're good. We're here. I do want to bring it left slightly, which would require slightly longer main curve. It's going to be a very minor correction. But luckily that didn't take too many tries. Instead of 300, let's do 302. $302. $1.$. Come on, give it to me. There we go. $1.$. Oops. That was a misclick. Oh, wonderful. Lines right up. Alright, let's see if our weld at the end of the curve is good. If not, we'll just make that really quick. Delete that. Delete the other one too. Wonderful. This song sounds like victory, and I think we've got a victory on our hands. I think this is a pretty good place to stop, but I want to do some testing. Because we got a little bit of a complex situation. It's not bad, really, but it is somewhat complex. The tracks do behave a little bit differently, but they quickly come back together. Let me see how bad it is. They're already parallel again, although track 1 is further apart. So there is some separation to consider there. Nothing the offset tool can't handle, though. And then it... Does track 1 come back together? I don't know. It still looks like it's separated really far out. Oh, this curve is a compound curve, too. Yeah. This will take a while. I don't want to get into this right now. Alright. Gonna save. Gonna do a little bit of super elevation. Then we'll test all the track that we did today. I think it's all 125 miles an hour. So I don't have to worry about looking up speed limits or nothing. Am I right? It's all 125? From Gunpow... Yeah, literally all 125. Cool. Let's do a little bit of super elevation. $120 right after Gunpow for that one curve? Are you right? Let me look. You could be. Looks like you're right. Wait a minute. Yeah, oh, you're right. Yep, 120, the curve right after Gunpow. Sorry, I'm skipping all over the place with the video. trying to find the point. Yep, you're right, 120. Good call. Good call. The video even says it. I'll keep that in mind. So this curve right here. Yeah. Very, very brief. We're still just going to ride track 3 for this. Just because that's what's in the video. Oh, one thing I didn't do is make these welds right here. Let me do that really quick. At the end of this curve. It's all good. I mean, there's enough weld spacing to where putting a weld here is not a problem. Oops, I did not mean to change that. I accidentally modified the sound property of the tracks. Don't want to do that. Rather long curve. Great. Let me see if there's a split here. Nope, looks good. And then I think we have a train down there somewhere already placed. I'll double check that. If not, I'll place one. I'm not going to turn on the game sound or anything. I'm just going to do a quick demonstration, a quick little test. Alright. I think I remember placing a train down here that will get to 125. Oh wait, no, I threw it on track 2. Let me move it over to 3. So those are the tracks I just super elevated. Just bought a new game today called The Forest. My friend Livy was in the stream earlier in the chat, just saying hi, chatting with you guys. She convinced me to buy it. We got a small group of friends online that play games, and we do stuff like Phasmophobia. I don't know if you guys ever played Phasmophobia. If you're looking for a new game, if you're looking for a horror game that'll spook you out, Phasmophobia is an amazing freaking game. So good. We play that together, some Minecraft occasionally, and she is like, oh, I'm gonna try a new game, Forest. I go, okay, cool. And we played for like an hour and a half before the stream. And it ended up being a pretty cool game. Which game are you saying is awesome, Pixelade? Phasmophobia or The Forest? We were having a little bit of fun in The Forest. It's pretty cool. Alright, let's test this out. It's gonna look different once I, once we, I don't presume to be the leader of this project, but it's gonna look different once we get the terrain put in, once we start sloping the track and smoothing it out, and doing all that stuff to make it ride realistically. This is just flat, so it's not gonna look as good, but you get a feel for the track geometry and how everything moves around. Didn't super elevate this curve, but it doesn't matter. We're just getting up to speed here anyway. So this track that we're on right now was laid in the previous stream. Once we get up to the next curve, that'll be where we started today. Well, not started today, but where we started as a stream today. I had done most of that curve offline with Evan Powers Because he was attempting it and having some issues with it, so I helped him. The issue was nothing of his fault. It was a track chart error. It said that it was a constant rate of curvature when it actually wasn't. It was almost a constant rate of curvature. Like, we'll get into this curve and you guys probably won't even know that it's adjusting curvature slightly, but it is. And it has to, because it doesn't work any other way. Alright. Almost there. I don't really know how to use the cruise control, but I find that keeping it at a 1, maybe bouncing it down to a 0 on the throttle sometimes helps. Just maintain 125 on flat terrain. Alright, so this is our first curve. Track 3 does its own little weirdness here. And then it quickly rejoins back with the other tracks, as you can see. This is the curve that I was talking about that changes radius slightly. We've already gone through a curvature change and you guys didn't even realize it probably. Yeah, I know that there's a cruise control button, Frosty. It's just, there's a way to use it and a way not to use it, and I just don't really know all that much about how to properly use it so it maintains your speed, and yeah, I don't know. I'll look into it again. Alright, we're almost out of this curve, and then we can see the weirdness at Gunpow. Alright, so if I zoom in, you should be able to see... Actually, no, it's still a little bit too far out. You'll see it soon enough. And then I gotta remember to slow down to 120 before the curve after the bridge. There we go. You can see our barrel that we placed. Here we go. Look at that, nice and smooth. Slams into the barrel. Alright, so we're down to 120 for this curve. Oh yeah. Nice curve. Really great. And now we'll get back up to 125. And then we got this little slight curve. Then it's straight for a little while. What's this interlocking here? Is it called Magnolia? Is that what this interlocking is called, where these other two tracks split off? Oops, I'm going 127 miles an hour. Sorry. I will slow back down. Yeah, I think that was Magnolia interlocking. And then we're coming up to Wood. While we cruise along, here's the map. We started right there. Now we're all the way up here. There's that little spur off to the left. This is Edgewood Station. Edgewood? Am I saying that? Yeah, Edgewood. Edgewood, Edgeville. I don't know. I don't know this section of the corridor as well as I would like. I learned a lot about Baltimore to Washington by making that route. I gotta familiarize myself more with this. That very, very slight curve that was giving me the problem with the spiral is coming up. Look at how... Oh my god, you can barely even notice that curve. There you go. Now it's just straight all the way to Bush, I believe. Yeah. That was a little curve we just went through, and then it's just straight all the way to Bush. And that's what we got for today, guys. Yeah, it looks like there's no sense of speed at all. Unless I do something like this. Yeah, absolutely no sense of speed. We're about to derail. Everybody say your final prayers. Oh, wow. Oh, Jesus. That's phenomenal. That was a hell of a freaking ride. Alright. Cool. Alright, so what milepost are we at now? I just want to be able to gauge how far we got today. So we're at milepost 72. And we started at milepost 82. Or 81. Let's look. 81, 82. So we got like 9 miles of track done today. Yeah, that was a smooth derailment. Yeah, so 9 miles of track in 2.5 hours. I'm fine with that. It wasn't the easiest stuff either, especially gunpowder interlocking. That was kind of annoying. That was really bugging Evan. Evan was having a tough time with that because of the Google Maps overlay. But we worked through that. Let's look a little bit into the future. For not so much next week, because I have a military obligation next weekend, so I'll not be able to stream. I might be able to stream Monday? Not this coming Monday, the following Monday, the 8th. That might be a possibility. I don't know. Evan is going to be trying to record and stream once he gets his new computer. Because right now, apparently, his old computer can't handle it. Alright, yeah, so these tracks do a little bit of weirdness. I just want to... I mean, not much weirdness, just a little bit. That's easy to deal with. I want to see if there's as much track separation for track 1 as I think there is. Just want to look right here. Like, once we get into the curve, does track 1 separate off? No, it doesn't. Maybe it was just an optical illusion in the video. They're staying to... I mean, it is slightly more, but it's nothing I would go crazy over. Yeah, that's fine. No, it's nothing there. Before, it just looked like track 1 was spaced out from track 2 a bit more than is normal. But it doesn't appear to be the case, so... This is a compound curve. You should be able to notice the change in curvature right here. It shallows out. You see that? You should have been able to notice that it shallowed out considerably there. I'll go back and show you. See that? Right at the milepost. Look at that little white marker on the left. That's where it shallows out. So we'll have to deal with that compound curve. I think that is noted on the track charts. And it is, right here. So it starts out 0.46 degrees and then shallows out to 0.21. So that is noted on the charts, which is nice for a change. And something like that is noted. And we got straight track for a little while and a couple normal curves. Nothing really crazy. Track 2 does some weird... Wait. One sec. Did they change track numbering, or was there a split? Wait a minute. Oh, shit. Do the tracks change numbering at Busch? No. Why did it... It does. No, it changes numbering at Busch. That's why I got confused. Because right here it's 3, and then once you reach the south limits of Busch, it changes the numbering to track 4. Is that an actual thing? The video doesn't represent it. The video still says track 3. Oh, now it's changing to track 4. That's weird. But that's fine. Doesn't seem like anything too crazy. It'll take a little while to lay Busch and get those curves proper and then do this little compound curve. But everything just seems to go parallel for a while until milepost 63 at Oak, where track 2 does a... Why does it do that? Oh, to get more spacing from track 3. I guess there's a crossover there. I know there's no crossover there. Typically you'll see these types of things before an interlocking and after an interlocking, so the tracks have necessary spacing for the switches. That actually is a thing here at Davisville. They actually widen the track spacing before the interlocking to allow those 80-mile-an-hour crossovers room to breathe. Very slight curves, but still a requirement for a lot of interlocking, so that's why you probably see stuff like that. But I don't see a switch here. Except for like this little freight line thing. I don't know. We'll find out. We're still 9 or so miles away from Oak. Let's look a little bit further. There's a little bit of weird track work at Grace. I know that much. And then we'll be at Perryville. That's the end of Mark, I believe. That's as far north as Mark goes. Four tracks for a while here at Perry. Then at Prince it goes back down to 2. And then we're 2 tracks until Bacon. And it goes back to 3. Cool. Yeah, so it doesn't seem overly difficult right now. But I'm sure we'll get slapped in the face with something. Alright, before I end the stream today, does anybody have any questions, comments for me? Well, you got me here. I'll wait about a minute, and then I'll end the stream. Anything at all? Route development related? You want personal advice? Alright, well, if nobody has anything... Oh, Amtrak fan got a question in last second. What does the $1 mean? It's actually a really good question. So when you're laying spiral curvature, known as the easements tool in-game, The radius of curvature is shown at the bottom to let you know how sharp or how shallow your curve is going to curve. When you end a spiral curve and go back to straight track, the radius of curvature at the end of your spiral, where it starts going perfectly straight again, has an infinite radius of curvature, because straight track has no radius of curvature. It's not curving, so the number is infinite, and $1 represents infinite. I hope that answered your question. Oh, yeah, no problem, Pixelade. With the timetables. Yep, those are the exact timetables that I used when making the career scenarios for Washington to Baltimore. For Amtrak, I know that they're the pre-COVID timetables. I know Amtrak cut a lot of trains. Once COVID hit, they laid off engineers and stuff like that too. So there were fewer services, and I didn't want the route to feel dead. So I took it upon myself to use the pre-COVID timetables. And I think it took a long time for Mark to start cutting services. So I used their pre-COVID timetables as well. Do I have one for Camden Line pre-COVID? Not handy. You can look it up though. There are archives with Mark timetables. Just do a little bit of Googling. Anything else? Questions, comments, concerns? We've got 70-ish miles to go until Philly. Hopefully most of the hard stuff's over, so we can really ramp up the speed of this. Yeah, the Camden line is only visible for a few minutes on the route. I was going to add some Camden line trains in the career scenarios, but it just didn't work out very well. There are portals down there to spawn and despawn trains, but I don't know. Not really worth it. If some freight stuff was included with the route, I would have maybe had a freight train going through F interlocking there, maybe going to the Capital subdivision, over to the Metropolitan subdivision, and then you got that right there next to the corridor. Southeastern Mass Rail Fanner says, I'm hoping I can make one of the MBTA Old Colony routes, but I don't have a credit card for the API, so that sucks. Yeah, you gotta have billing information on your Google account in order for your API key to work. Whether that's in the form of a credit card, a debit card, I don't know if you can use a checking account. I don't know. Who knows, maybe you can make a deal with your parents. Use their credit card and just say, hey, I don't expect there to be any charges, but if there is, I'll pay you cash. I used to do stuff like that with my mom all the time. Like, hey mom, I want to buy, when I was a kid, that is. Hey mom, I'd like to buy this. May I use your credit card and give you cash? And she'd do it for me. So that's an option too. You've tried to bribe them. It's not a bribe. It's still money. Spending money on a credit card is still money. You should always have the cash to back up any credit card purchase you make. Credit card is not free money, like a lot of people think. Pixelade saying, you've done a lot. It honestly looks less complicated than DC to Baltimore track. I wish I could say that about those curves we did at Bay in the first stream. I really wish I could say that. Those curves were a bitch. That was a tough 3 miles. But we got through it, and it rides smooth, and as it should. Yeah, get a credit card as soon as you can, but treat it like cash, man. Don't use it unless you got an emergency. Like, don't go crazy with the spending unless you have an emergency. Alright, that's it. I'm gonna end the stream. Hit me up with any other questions in the comments on the video, Facebook. You can reach me on Discord too if you're a member of the Discord group. There's tons of ways to reach me, even on the Dovetail Games forums. There's a forum thread in the creators section about this route, so you can post questions, comments there. Yeah. Take care, guys. Have a great rest of your weekend.